Hey, welcome back to another Black City coffee vlog. In this video, we are talking about flavor descriptors. Our philosophy with our coffees is to offer juicy and round coffees all year. I got this idea from the book that I was reading, Dear Green Coffee Buyer, and I was so enthralled by this idea because I was like, oh cool, like I love learning about how this person really solidified for themselves a standard to move from, and I thought that philosophy was so great. And so I wanted to talk about, on this little coffee break, what does juicy and what does round even mean? When we look at the flavor descriptors of coffee, we have acidic and we have sweet. So those are the two ends of the spectrum concerning coffee flavor descriptors. Now, if we were to talk to any person who knew anything about acidity or being acidic, they would usually refer to the scientific meaning like on the pH scale, with 7 being neutral, and then under that being very acidic, and then over that being more alkaline or caustic. So coffee, black coffee, like this, is a 5 on the acidity scale. Lemon juice is 2, orange juice is 3, milk is a 6 or something like that. And then again, to remind you, a 7 is neutral. Even milk is more acidic than you would have maybe thought, like drinking milk for heartburn or something like that. So sort of an old wives' tale. With that being said, let's talk about where juicy lands on the scale from acidic to sweet, and then where round lands on the scale from acidic to sweet. So I wanted a simple offering just because I'm simple at this point. I haven't been in the game for more than 2.5 years maybe right now, and that's kind of like being very generous. So I was thinking, well, we can have a philosophy to offer coffees, because at first it was like, let's just try to offer it from all of my favorite origins, which I don't think that's a bad idea. But in terms of being running into coffees that are being available for you all year round, that's where I ran into a problem, and that's why I think for a roaster who's new, it's something to think about. I didn't think about that. Because I didn't read this book, which I think it's so helpful, and I just hadn't been in the game. I didn't have any skin in the game for any amount of time, so I didn't have any experience. But now I was running into the case of, Tanzania, the one that we carry right now, is not going to be available forever, and in fact, I don't think it's going to be available for quite some time. Anyway, I was cool to let go of that, and as well as Honduras. Honduras wasn't going to be available for me, and I thought, that's cool, that's fine. I was planning on letting them go anyway. Now, what I'm going to do about that? If I was going to offer 4 coffees from my favorite regions, but they're not going to be available, how do I get around that? Oh, okay, here. So my philosophy was, what kind of coffees do I want to offer? And for me, it just boiled down to juicy and round. Why? Because it seemed that as I got to roasting different coffees, I really love certain fermentation processes of coffee, and I definitely love certain origins of coffee. I definitely love the Latin American countries. I love Africa as well. I love South America, and I really like to stick to these areas. I'm not doing anything novel like, I don't know, Kona coffee or something like that, or Sumatra or any wet hold stuff. I don't think I'm going to touch that area because they don't really fall into the coffees that I personally like and would like to drink, and that I want to educate other people about. I really want to bring into the forefront sort of a bridge from nostalgic coffee into third wave coffee or specialty coffee, which are more lighter roasts that have more nuance and more origin flavor. And to me, that is a juicy and round coffee. Okay, finally, let's get to the words juicy. Juicy, where I think that lands on the scale of acidic to sweet, is definitely more on the acidic side, but not so much that it's light-bodied like a tea, like an Ethiopian. It's not particularly lemon-like. I'm not really down with that anymore. I mean, it's cool to taste it, that's fine, but I don't think I'm looking for that all the time in my cup. I do like fruits such as red fruits that are, I just feel that they're juicier in terms of, instead of being tart, instead of being extremely bright. I'm actually looking for flavors that are deeper and on the jammier side. So if I'm thinking about jam in preserves, things that are like, they have that sweet component, which is where their round term comes from. So they have that sweet component, that sort of concentrated sweet component that I find really attractive in the cup. And I feel that after, you know, all of these coffees that I've been roasting, the fermented processes of certain coffees that they're doing now, a lot of experimentation, especially out of Colombia when I did those coffee net samples, and now with this new Ecuador that we have that's coming very soon, they did also a fermentation process. I just feel like the flavors there are just so much more complex because they're adding in this third layer of flavors that you can introduce where you get that wine-like kind of vibe. And it reminds me of Panama Geisha, you know, it just reminds me of that. You get that brightness that you do like, but it's not without body. And that's where the term round comes from when I say I'm looking for juicy and round coffees. I still want something with a solid mouthfeel in the mouth when I finish, and that I feel like I've drank some coffee. So I really dislike coffees that are tea-like, that have a light body, that, you know, they are, you know, delicate, they're floral and things like that. I don't really like that. And I kind of struggled with that because I thought, I think when you get into specialty coffee, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like a keeping up with the Joneses thing, or an egotistical thing, or a snooty booty thing, where you think you have to like that stuff. I'll you know, a lot of the you know, stock answers that I get from people when I ask them about specialty coffee and what's their favorite, a lot of them go for Ethiopia, you know, and I'm like, okay, that's a solid answer. I don't know if you're being truthful. Because they don't seem to like, you know, super light bodied coffees, and not all of coffees out of Ethiopia are tea-like and all that stuff, but a lot of them are, certainly. So yeah, I mean, to me, a juicy and round coffee, I think, is going to be the great bridge that is going to get people who are really kind of maybe stuck, maybe not as open-minded, and are kind of stuck with nostalgic coffee. And when I say nostalgic coffee, I mean like the coffee that our parents drank, you know, that you drank when you were young. I'm 35 this year, so when I was young, I was drinking Folgers with creamer and sugar. Now I feel like we're slowly pulling people out of that fog of convenience coffee, and that's still very prevalent. Like, most of my friends, it's French press, it's coffee cups, it's Keurigs, it's things like that. It's all about convenience, which I get. And I think if people understood where coffee comes from and understood the work that goes into it, then you would want to spend a little bit more quality time with that, because it also means you're spending quality time with yourself. And you know, I'm all about that self-love life. So we offer juicy and round coffees, and I think it'll be important for those who are in coffee industry to encourage others to use those terminologies, and if they don't know, they ask. And it's not, you know, to make you feel dumb or insignificant or to belittle you. It's to educate you and to welcome you into our world of nerdy coffee stuff, you know. And if we can use the same terminology and be on the same page, then that just means we're going to expand the reach of great coffee everywhere, right? So, I mean, I think so. So, juicy and round. And to sum up, where I would line that up on the scale is probably more, I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking that's balance. That's balance. I'm looking for something juicy, and I'm looking for something round. And I feel like it's a V. If this is the scale, here's my offering, here's my V right in here. So I'm getting a little bit of this, I'm getting a little bit of that, and I'm finding somewhere in the middle where I can help you cross the bridge and over to try other things in specialty coffee world, right? That's my goal, that's my mission. So with the coffees that we offer. So when you hear the word acidic, concerning coffee flavors and coffee descriptors, it doesn't necessarily always mean acidic like battery acid or lemon juice or something like that. It's just a descriptor describing, hey, this is a bright coffee, this is a astringent, this is on the other side of the spectrum of sweet. So if we have sweet, which is like chocolate notes, nutty notes, stuff like that, we have over here lemon notes, fruity notes, apples, red fruit, things like that on this end of the spectrum. And so just to give you an idea of where, like if you're looking to try different coffees, where along the line on the spectrum of flavor does this new coffee that you want to try lay? And then you can go, oh cool, so this is here, and I can catalog that here in my brain. And then the next time I go to try a Sumatran or a Indonesian coffee, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's way over here. So my expectation or my experience is going to be different, right? So we can't really judge coffees all on the same perspective, so to speak. Okay, that's it for my coffee break. Thanks so much for joining me. Like this video if you did, subscribe for more content like this, and we'll see you next time.